Today I'm going to be talking about two operations which you can use to clean up your geometry in PopUp CAD. So today I'm going to start by importing some geometry, which is a common type of thing that would get exported from SOLIDWORKS. So typically, when you are importing something from SOLIDWORKS, you are bringing in polygons which may be right next to each other. You have a couple options when you do that import, one of those being buffer, and oftentimes you will give it a slight negative value so that when you import and create a sketch operation, you can use those that sketch for creating a hinge, and having those gaps allows you to use and select the vertices for creating constraints. Now, that's not always desirable, however, when you want to actually merge those geometries together. So the cleanup operation basically allows you to bring together geometries which are infinitely close to each other. And so to do that, the cleanup operation has two values. The buffer, which basically defines how much each polygon is going to shrink and grow, and this is basically a series of dilate and erode operations which shrink and grow each polygon and merge any neighboring polygons which are within that value. It does both a shrink or a dilate and an erode, so that any interior or convex or concave corners get treated the same way. So if you apply that, you can see that something that had neighboring polygons which were infinitely close to each other are now merged together. If you were to change that buffer value to something much larger, like 0.1 for example, you could see that the corners everywhere are rounded. If you change the resolution, you're going to see that the corners have a much more rounded look to them as well. And so you can play with those two values to really change how you clean up your geometry. The second operation is the simplify operation, and this does something slightly different. Instead of buffering the perimeter of every single polygon, it simply approximates a polygon that may have many points, and you can see that a polygon like this has many, many points going around it. And the simplify simply says, let's reduce the number of points in the way that approximates that original shape as close as possible. So if you start with something like 0.01 and look at a sketch of that, you can see it has many fewer points in places where it doesn't need them. If you change that value to something even bigger, 0.1 for example, or maybe even 1, that approximation gets quite rough. So it may not be appropriate to use it in every case, but it does speed up the computation required in PopUp CAD. So when possible, do that to reduce the number of points so that your calculations go faster. And those are the cleanup and simplify operations.